Hello everybody. What the is going on? It's time to pull out the machine because if you have one, it's a really good tool right now. Sincerely, a mother who wants to keep it together. What's going on, guys? Welcome to your weekly astro forecast with yours truly, Alyssa Campo, Astromadeus, your astrologer, here to help you understand and navigate through these wild energies, these crazy times that we're living in, and to just come together and find some validation and some positivity and enthusiasm as we navigate these times. So, what's going on, everyone? Thanks so much for being here. We have a lot to talk about this coming week. This week was a tender one for me personally, just to share, losing my last grandfather that's living right now was such an emotional place for me, as I'm looking at my own Saturn in Pisces journey that started back in 2023, and going from my husband and I helping take care of his grandfather in his final phases, as he was dealing with dementia. And then in 2025, losing my mom's father, my grandfather Tito, and then losing, abuelito in 2026. It's just, for me, it really is pulling on my masculine side of this Saturn in Pisces lineage completion story. And so I'm really encouraging everybody to dive into wherever they have Pisces in their chart and make some reflections. We have a big old stellium in Aquarius right now, you guys. So we have Pluto, Mars, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury in Aquarius. Holy. So I want to talk about that, because that is why things have felt so intense, but at the same time extremely detached. And that's the nature of Aquarius, where we have to understand a healthy detachment to things, where we're not so deeply emotionally preoccupied that nothing else is around us and that's all that we can see, but it's also not something that we're, losing ourselves in. So Sunday, February 1st, we have the full moon in Leo, okay? The significance of the full moon coming up in Leo, you guys, is the fact that it's our final lunation before eclipse season. And what this means is, during eclipse season, you guys, that is go time. That is setting the next 6 months of your energetic destiny, of your purpose, of your direction, of your emotional state. It's really going to set the tone. And so, you can reflect back on wherever you have 13 degrees in your chart, take a peek at that and know that that's the house, the placement, the sign that's going to be impacted the most with the Sunday full moon in Leo. And understanding that the last 3 moons we had were also all in 13 degrees. So what does this mean in your chart? Look at where you have that degree point and see, 13 is the number of the feminine, of the sacred feminine, and really nourishing that emotional component. And obviously, the current temperature of the world is just so intense and heated. And then we had those 2 conjunctions happen this week. We had Mars and Pluto come together, and then we had Venus and Mercury come together. And we had Pluto and Mars happen first, which was a bit helpful because it was really us putting it out there on the table, our anger, our frustrations, our I've had it moment. And it really was, in my opinion, a beautiful thing to witness so many people really deciding that change point, that pivot moment where they said, I'm going to take my power back, and I'm going to allow myself to grieve this old world that is collapsing. And we all really feel that, you guys. We have all these planets in Aquarius in the 12th house, activating our subconscious downloads, really helping us understand what we need to surrender, what we need to take action with, where we need to speak up. We had Neptune that just moved into Aries, you guys, which is huge for the collective. That's the next 14-year cycle for Neptune. We won't see Neptune in Pisces again. That was the finale, the completion moment. And this is where, moving forward with that Aries energy, we have to check the ego. We really have to check our ego and say, what is this going to do for me long term? Because Aries is that very fast, impulsive energy. So we have to be a little bit cautious with it, because that fire can really, really ramp up. And then we might regret it and be like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? So we are looking at these things. We have the moon in Cancer today. So really tending to your emotions, do some cooking, spend some time with your family, go outside, cry some good cry, let it out. And think about it, guys. We only have Uranus in Taurus retrograde, and we have Jupiter in Cancer. Those are only 2 planets retrograde right now. So things are in a forward movement. You can really see the tone of what this year is setting up. So what I was saying about the lunations that were all at 13 degrees, our last moons, what were you doing around November 5th of last year, of 2025? So that moon is going to have a lot of connection to the moon on Sunday, okay? The last one for me, I know personally, it was that full moon in Taurus. And in November, I decided to do something I had never done before, which was to share my grief, to share my process of really having 2025 for me be a year of ending the cycle of grief and the hyper-identification with grief and pain and trauma. It was my oldest sons, my twin, Abram and Elias's 18-year, anniversary of their passing. And it literally felt like a cycle complete, like a part of me that had felt so deeply identified with that pain. And yes, it is so much of who, made me who I am today, but there was such a part of me that wasn't even allowing myself to have permission to feel joy, to feel connection, friendships, just a deeper sense of deserving and receptivity. And that was huge for me, you guys. That was my, big completion moment last year. And this full moon is going to bring that energy back up. It's going to say, what were you doing around that time? How were you addressing your shadow work at that time? How were you showing up for yourself at that time? And for me, I wasn't in my grief portal where I really close in November and, don't take that time to put myself out there. I said, instead, why don't I do a daily dance challenge? Why don't I transmute that pain, that grief, that intensity into art, into something beautiful, into movement, and where I can transmute it and transmute that medicine within my own body, within my own being. My boy just popped up. So, excuse me, that was a lot. And you might be feeling that. You might be feeling this really deep psychological purge happening in your subconscious mind. You might be feeling really intense dreams with Neptune moving into Aries, a lot more activity happening, maybe a lot more arguments that lead to a breakthrough, that lead to some explosive moments that end up bringing the emotional truth of the matter up. So, it's been a lot. You've got this. You're doing amazing. Thank you so much to all that have gotten a reading with me. I've been doing my work. I've been doing my year ahead reports, and it brings me so much joy, you guys, to give you some clarity and validation and, enthusiasm moving forward of just, you've got this, and I know that it feels very foreign and new and different and fast, but you have been preparing your whole life for this moment, really. And that's what I'm feeling like, is this culmination moment. And all of this in Aquarius is a very helpful space to kind of, like I said, have that healthy detachment, but also know what your role is moving forward and how you're using your energy, who you're connecting with, having those common goals. So you guys are amazing. Love you. Thank you so much for being here. You're amazing. And I can't wait to dive into the next one. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Thank you so much for all the love on that post too about sharing when my grandfather passed. It was so sweet to have everybody just wrap me in warmth. He was 101 years old. Sagittarius, fellow Sagittarius. He was a poet. He was a historian. He was an adventurer. It was just, Yeah. And as a 12th houser, I really feel such an activation personally when I do lose a family member. I feel like I just leave myself in that 3-day period of allowing them to communicate with me and share their insights and really kind of have this closure moment, because I like to establish that communication. So call me weird, but whatever. You guys are great. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.